Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by somebody who's trying to join during the intro, which is Arwin, and 10th Man, John, Neil, and Sleeping Warrior, together with a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello.
Evening.
Morning, good morning. Enthusiastic Discord, good. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curvature?
Never
No.
in my lifetime.
No, but we can calculate it into existence, and then based on maths, we can then assert that it does exist.
No. Any
Yeah.
evidence of the physical geometric sphere edge horizon formerly known as Earth curvature?
Hey, Arwen, we hear you.
Hey, Owen.
Did we move off that first point, or have we moved? Are we still on the first point?
Well, still on the first point, because you talked about reifying something from mathematics, and I'm asking for something physical.
No, if I calculate it into existence, it exists.
So if I calculate unicorn farts, they exist, do they?
Yeah, of course.
No, they
You've
don't.
calculated it.
No,
Yeah, they do.
no, that's reification.
Nathan, you can imagine smelling it if you calculate them into existence. You can just imagine it.
Imagining it doesn't mean that I'm actually smelling it or that it actually exists, simply because I've mathematically qualified something.
But remember, George Musa said that we don't have to work at the really is level, Nathan, so we can just imagine these things into existence, and that's totally okay. I'll be back in 2 seconds.
While I appreciate George Musa granting you permission to answer my question at the not really is level, I asked for physical geometric sphere edge horizons. You know, that one that was formerly known as Earth curve, blocking boats and buildings and stuff. So, yeah, your permission isn't going to be sufficient, unfortunately. Sorry, George Musa, giving people permission to not work at the really is level doesn't change what physics, that would be the physical, actually is. And that's what we're asking for in regards to Earth curve edge horizons.
When you break that down and hear it again and again, we don't really need to work at the really is level. What does that tell you of the guy's genuine honesty about his topic?
Yeah, they're not, because they're having to reify mathematics into physicality when that isn't possible. Anyone else got anything to add from Discord on physical Earth curve edges? You used to claim were Earth curve blockages. Don't be shy.
It's just an
No, they're
location.
afraid. The things that the bottom of boats used to be disappearing because of Earth curve, but we never said that the horizon is Earth curve now.
Yeah, I appreciate that they've now relinquished and denied the fact that they used to claim the horizon was a physical obstruction for boats and buildings into the distance. Not anymore. Clearly, nobody's claiming that, right? And clearly
Right.
nobody is, because they're not. Listen, anyone want to claim Earth curve edge is demonstratable at the horizon?
Oh, they don't want to claim it, but they'll point at it in a picture and say that it is the curve.
That'd be claiming it. Certainly not doing that here by the looks of things.
No, but they'll not say it. They'll
Yeah, but
just
we'll-
point in it and say that's the curve. See?
Yeah, they'll point at the horizon and say that's Earth curve. That is actually their rhetoric. That's what they need to claim. The unfortunate truth being that it's been debunked. Can't utilize refraction to move an Earth curve edge with refraction if you can't derive an Earth curve edge by way of a physical horizon anymore. Black Swan. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Don't all go at once. The claim we have 15 degrees an hour turn of the Earth underneath things that aren't attached, so we see them drift away 15 degrees an hour. Anybody?
Well, the
Then we
clouds
would have
are
a
drifting,
Coriolis
as far as
effect,
I can
wouldn't
tell.
we?
Hold on, Owen. Say again, Rams.
Then we would have a Coriolis effect with things that fly, and but we
Yeah, they
don't
say
see
we've
that.
got Coriolis effect, and we don't. That's things drifting away from you at 15 degrees an hour as Earth rotates underneath them. Your observation of it seeming to curve away or drift away, that's Coriolis. Unfortunately, that would imply that things are drifting away from you as Earth turns underneath them, and that would shorten flight times when travelling west, because Earth would be turning underneath planes. For us to observe them seem to drift from the ground, yes, that's the claim they actually make, that we have Coriolis. But then when you look into definitions of Coriolis, they talk about all sorts of nonsense, like wind and stuff going down drains, which is only Coriolis if you're in that wind spinning around, seeing things not actually drift but seem to as you spin around in a wind or in a drain. So unless you're part of the rotating reference frame, seeing things seem to drift as you turn underneath them, it's not Coriolis. But they convolute it with all sorts of nonsense about winds and drains because they want to convolute what Coriolis actually is. You rotating under things not attached and them seeming to drift. I.e. you on a roundabout looking at a tree that's not attached to your roundabout, seeming to look like it's coming towards you as you spin around, when in reality it's you turning underneath the tree. The tree's not moving, it just seems to. The seems to bit is Coriolis, i.e. not actual deflection. Apparent deviation, however you want to term it. So yeah, the claim they make they have Coriolis is the thing that debunks Earth turn. They say we will see Coriolis because Earth's turning. We don't see Coriolis. Earth isn't turning.
They just got back, but yeah, on that Coriolis, it's funny how they play both sides of the argument, and they're wrong, of course. But they'll say, well, when you shoot a ballistic, a bullet, the Earth is turning underneath the bullet, but it's not turning under anything else. It just has a bias towards just the bullet, I guess.
Because they assume that the force of it can break free from the lockstep motion momentum of the Earth spinning.
I
That's
love the
the
way
reason why they say that, I think.
I love the way you emphasize free. I'm free.
Well, it's like most things. They take the thing that debunks their claim. So their claim is that Earth is turning to move the celestial bodies. So it's us moving, not them. And then that would result in Coriolis deflection. So they claim it with very vague examples given out by the high priests, when in reality, the claim that Earth's turning, not the movement of the stars being apparent from us in a stationary position, is to have Coriolis deflection. So the thing that debunks them is the thing that they claim. They make the assertion, and then here at trench level, they debunk the assertion and argue against it with an assumption that Earth's turning anyway. So it's a convoluted gaggle screw of nonsense when it comes to Coriolis effect. And even if you try and attempt to look up the definitions, it'll leave you in confusion for most people's part. So the reality is Coriolis effect is fairly straightforward effect. It's you rotating underneath stuff not attached. You on a roundabout seeing things seem to drift away from you if they're not attached to the roundabout. Well, that's your observation as you turn underneath stuff. So for Earth to have it, you've got to be on a turning Earth, turning with it, and seeing stuff not turn with it to have Coriolis. But that would shorten flight times because it would mean that Earth's turning underneath planes and drones and helicopters and hot air balloons, and they'd all have Earth turning underneath them. Because that's what they're asserting. Earth turns underneath to give you Coriolis. Well, that shortening of flight times doesn't happen. You don't see drones or hot air balloons having their flight paths interrupted and landing in a completely different state or a completely different country because Earth's not turning underneath any of them. We'd notice.
Isn't that the same mess they're in with the physical horizon that's not there?
Yeah, and they even insert that one into the controlled op narrative. So they ask us where our edge is. Well, they have Earth curve mathematics that assert that the horizon's a physical edge to block boats and buildings.
Yeah, but they can't see the edge because it is being visually bent through mysterious refraction.
Well, according to
Mysterious.
them, they've never
apparent
seen
plane.
Hold on, let me just correct Darwin. Not mysterious refraction, terrestrial refraction, which utilises an R value. Standard refraction, terrestrial refraction, these things utilise R. They assert there's an
Right.
arbitrary bending of the light at the rate of the radius, 7/6 of it. Well, if you've got that mandatory value, you need the radius. And the radius is a derivation of the physical horizon. Straight line tangent point with a straight line drawn to it. Well, to move it and bend it means you can't measure it as straight and use it as a tangent. It's the Arwinian paradox. Shout out to James Richards and Trey Clark for the super chats. There wasn't any message attached to Trey's, but there is actually a message, if I can get it up on my smaller screen, attached to James Richards. So I'll just bring up his super chat and actually read it out. Hopefully my babbling has bought me enough time to reload the screen so I can actually see what it says. Have I? No, it's loading. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I will read out.
I can read it out for you.
I've just got there. Globies have zero scientific evidence of a spinning ball. They do have a lot of stories. Let's ignore the lack of science and talk about the stories. Indeed, very well said, James Richard.
Hey, Nathan, isn't it interesting that we've covered two of the housekeeping questions in the last two statements? Now, what's the third one? The gas pressure without a container. And what do? They do the same thing there. They come in with a container full of gas and then try to show us how you can have gas pressure without a container.
And also, part of the the narrative that they require to have gas pressure is containment. So what do? They put it on their opponent to prove the container. It's like, we must have containment, we've got gas pressure. But they are challenging us as flat earthers to show them the dome. Automatically, when you demonstrate that space is fake, they will ask you, well, where's the container? Like, I don't know. I just know that to have gas pressure, there must be containment. I don't know what the sky is. We've been lied to about it. But the fact that it's a vacuum in your narrative is easy to debunk. And what's your reply automatically? Where's the dome?
It's very easy. You walk outside, you point up and say, it's over there. And it's true.
Indeed.
Well, that it's like you said, it's easy to debunk because they'll sit there and say, yeah, the only way to have gas pressure is with containment. Okay, I'm glad we all agree. And then they'll say, well, where's the container? Well, it doesn't matter at this point because the antecedent is a container. And you just agreed we can't have this gas pressure without one. So who cares?
Yeah, but 10th man, if you go outside and point at the sky, say it's over there, you are technically correct.
You are technically correct, but they want you to fall into the bear trap of asserting what the sky is. Well, the sky is a container, so you're saying that blue stuff is like a sapphire dome then, and then on you go with their straw man.
Could be, if you fall for that. If you're going to get material specific about it. Because if you're going to claim some kind of material for the container, then automatically the question arises, so what is outside of the container then? And then it becomes a convoluted clusterfuck of, potentially maybe it's like a domed disk in outer space after all, or something like that,
Well, reminds me of a conversation I had with somebody.
There goes my suitable for all tick in the YouTube algorithm.
What's that?
I'm just muttering about how I'll now have to disclaim that swearing.
Okay. Yeah, this reminds me of a conversation I had just on this very subject. And I said, well, hang on. Before we get into it, do you believe we're in an open or closed system? That was a good one, because if they say open, well, then you got a sky vacuum next to air, and that don't work. And if he says closed, well, it involves a container we can't see, but it's closed. So either way, that's a good comeback.
Nah, but they can still reify gas having weight, though, and then they just imagine how that weight is going to prevent.
Okay, that's fine.
Or it's going to slow down. It's going to have
that's fine, Arvin.
Speed until it slows down at some point, as proclaimed.
That's fine. How do you weigh gas, Arvin?
You put it into a container, and then you put that container on a scale.
Thank you very much.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
More of their nonsense, just pictures in school books.
We get a hello out of Adam. Hey, Adam.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll go with a no, and good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Welcome.
afternoon, Sir Adam from Nottingham.
Maybe you can help us out with the next question. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Easy one, that one.
Nope.
Nah.
It's a reification fallacy. Oh, by the way, concerning the subject of gravity or related to it and relative density, remember that time I brought up about the helium balloon, what it would do in the vomit comet and all that? Remember that time? Had a discussion about it.
Yeah, it's only a couple of weeks ago. I do remember.
Right. So somebody, a Stone Monkey 3D, actually found a video where they did have helium balloons inside of the vomit comet, and it shows as it is at supposed 0G situation and when it's normal, when it's back to normal, both. And it turns out I was completely wrong. So I have that video. I posted it in the Ballbusters yesterday. I don't know how to present here, by the way. How does that work?
Yeah, I don't want to present it because it's not mine, but you'll have to describe it verbally. Which way did the balloon go when they were doing the
It actually
parabolic maneuver?
free floated. It actually was totally unexpected. So people were free floating things, objects, solid objects were free floating, but so were the helium balloons. So that was kind of surprising.
Oh, okay. So in the sealed container, they achieved neutral buoyancy. They were not
Yes.
moving up or down as they were descending. That's interesting.
Right. And then when they were going level again, then the balloons would immediately pull up. So they were definitely filled with helium or a lighter than air gas, than regular air gas. So that was very, surprising and had me a little puzzled. But I've been trying to think about how does that work? How can it work? And then basically cross-referencing it with the accelerating car with the helium balloon, where the balloon goes forward when you accelerate. Well, maybe then if it accelerates downwards, that the balloon goes down because of that in the same fashion. And if the downwards acceleration is at a certain rate, then it will literally free float. It's a little, it was surprising. I didn't expect that. There's some work to be done to figure that out. How does the normal relative density workings in a Euclidean non-motion, non-accelerating situation, how does that work in relation to when an object is moving and has a medium within it? Because it is different. It works different.
Wasn't one of the comments on the vomit comet that as it was going down to create the 0G effect, that everything was going down at the same speed as the airplane, so that's why people were floating? Am I right on that?
Yes, they claim 0G, but balloons would, they also basically become neutralized. But the only explanation that remains is the similar explanation as in the accelerating car, and that is that the air within the plane is also redistributed, and just as Brian would say it, the support actually shifts, so it goes down as much as it would go up.
Well, that's where I was going next. Is the balloon is a material, inside is the helium gas. So if someone was to pop a balloon while it was going down, what would the gas do?
It would go in all directions.
Thank you.
I'm going to just ask Adam something. Is this merely an interesting folly, though, given that the behaviour of a contained lighter than air gas inside a contained air in free fall by way of a parabolic maneuver isn't really that useful to us, generally speaking?
Yeah, I'd agree. It's more a curiosity point as to, I think, what Tim sums it up. If you take the balloon away, we all know what the gas behaviour is going to do, so that's fine. I'm more curious. I've got the two pictures, look. So I won't play it, Nathan, but that's it during zero G mode, and then this is it. When they return back, you can see the balloons taut on the string. Odd look, because they are a little all over the place. Some was on the ground. Look, there's nothing uniform. It's not like there's a direct force that's been applied or has been removed, because they're not. It's not one on the floor or all of them on the floor. Look, some are in some positions, some are in others. It's very random where they are.
Adam, as you've got it,
I posted the link in the chat. By the
it's
way,
on screen.
for people.
Adam, can you, from where you are or where you were, because if you go back to where you were, maybe a few seconds further, there's somebody. Oh no, there's somebody that's fine where you are. Somebody on the roof of this, whatever it is, 747. So if you can play maybe 5 seconds of it, well, I'll get away with that. Just so we can see the behaviour for maybe 5 seconds. Whoever's talking, just 1 second.
Yeah, look, so you see they're in.
That'll do. Stop.
Yeah, so he's
good enough.
floating up there, and then there we go. You can see when they come out of it. The guys now sliding down the wall, and if I press for another few seconds, you'll just see the balloons go up. So they return back. Look, when it comes out of the.
Okay, so when it levels out, they're, as per you'd expect, they rise up to the bottom to the top of the fuselage. Whereas when they're in free fall, it seems like they just bob around like the people bob around.
Well, they're all. See, what's odd, look, is they're all at different heights. They've all got different levels of tension in the string. So whether that's just different rates of inflation, but I mean, this one's on the ground, look.
So it's
one watching, I just want to make
the different temperatures then, pressures then.
No, it's relative density, isn't it? You're seeing relative density differentials between the different sizes, volumes, densities of the balloons relative to the medium that they're in, right?
No, because there's a parabolic manoeuvre
it's
akin to free fall that's taking place as well. So no, I just see this as a folly. It's interesting to talk about, but a container within a container in free fall, that's what we're looking at.
Which is all anyway nothing that gravity's claimed to be.
You mentioned gravity.
If I may, it's not a proof against relative density, because relative density theory is anchored purely in a stationary Euclidean setting. So if the whole thing is moving, then whatever is moving within it, that is not really accounted for by the relative density theory. Only if it moves along the axis in accordance to its density, not what happens within the thing that is moving.
Well, I would still say that it still proves relative density. Same as a car, the gas is just moving to the back. That's why the helium moves forward. It's just displacing it in a different direction.
It's not directly explained by relative density, but again, it falls outside of relative density because it is in motion.
Exactly.
If this is being touted as an equivalence to relative density or a debunk of relative density, that would be a false equivalence, because the thing falling out the sky in no way is a representation of relative density if everything's falling at the same rate.
I'm with Flatzoid.
I'm with Arwin. Excellent.
Well, this achieved a lot. I missed the original assertion.
It's not. It's just a folly. It's just interesting. We were discussing what a balloon might do, and now we can see it. It's just interesting. It's not particularly proving or disproving anything.
Play it again, Meekin.
Don't know. I don't want him to.
No, you'll have to do it. It's in Ballbusters chat, just below your last post.
Okay.
3 up.
Anyway, just so we're back to a relevant point that's even slightly related, any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container, given that we're looking at a container of the balloon in free fall inside a fuselage of a 737 moving through the air with air in it. Any evidence that any of that could be achieved if the sky was a vacuum?
Yes, the gas in the balloon in a enclosed container moving down at an accelerated rate within the container of the Earth realm proves gas pressure without a container.
What Arwin's just done is just taken that folly and somehow spun it into an answer to this question.
I do better.
You're getting better, and you're going to have to rename yourself. Notice, since just before Christmas, you've started to become a very good ball win. And you're starting to enjoy it, I think, Arwin.
Would you say that to have gas pressure it requires volume?
Yeah, volume being the amount of space inside your container.
Okay, so there's your answer.
Right, but the volume can also be limited by weight, right? So the container can be weight.
I see what you did
Weight
there.
at the edges of the volume that prevent it from continuing on, and that causes the gas pressure within the weight outlined volume.
Yeah,
right?
of the container, Arwin. I saw what you did straight away. So now we're talking about the container and its volume and weight. That's interesting. Why are we weighing and qualifying the containment and its weight when it's merely the volume of gas occupiable space that the gas can fill? That's what we're talking about in terms of the volume, not the weight of the container you might construct, and maybe a difference that you'll give the gas inside it when you're weighing it, so that you can attribute a downward vector to it, even though inside the container, regardless of what it's made of and how much it weighs, the gas is expanding freely in all directions.
Right, but you can't have a container that has no weight.
So what? Who cares? We're talking about the containment, not the container. Containment. That's the... Oh, just spotted what you've done, and it's really clever, and I'm glad you've done it. So we were talking about the dome. We're challenged to provide the dome, right? That's the container. And what we are arguing about isn't the container. And Arwin's talking about how it's qualifiable once you manufacture it and weigh it, or even weigh it with a gas if you extended out his argument. But we're not talking about the container. We're talking about the containment. The V is the volume, the amount of space inside the container. That qualifier excludes all other aspects of the container. Forget how much the container weighs or whether you can weigh it. The volume inside it is all that's relevant to how much space the gas can fill. Now, you need a container to do that. What the container is irrelevant, so long as it actually provides containment. So we're talking about containment, the fact that you require it, and therefore they immediately challenge us to tell us what the container is. Now, how the hell would we know? There's a massive deception about what the sky is. We're not going to know what it is. There's a massive lie about it. So why would it suddenly imply that we know, just because we know that we require containment? Doesn't mean I know what the container is, and that's all they challenge you on. It's like, no, we're going to ask you how you can have the gas pressure without any containment.
Well, Nathan, if Cavendish could weigh the Earth with his experiment, then maybe we could devise of an experiment to weigh the dome.
What the hell? That's fascinating. But no, on both counts. No, Cavendish couldn't weigh the Earth, and no, we couldn't weigh some container that you arbitrarily assigned when we have no idea what the sky is. We just know that we must have containment, otherwise we'd all be dead.
But don't you think it's really fascinating that to have volume, everything has to be physical, and to have physical, it needs containment of some sort.
Yeah, those are the rules. Can't have it any other way, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the other way, their assertion, sky is a vacuum called outer space, that's impossible. Because the gas we breathe would fill the space.
Well, we're back to open and closed systems, so obviously we're closed.
Yeah, we must have
No,
containment.
It's a sky valve, 10th.
The sky valve? Like a pressure cooker?
No, like Mega May
Yeah,
gets access.
It just opens for the astronauts to leave, that's all. Then closes again.
Oh, they know where the hatch is.
Yes, the Earth realm is a spaceship, and there is a special hatch to the other compartment outside.
Somebody like David Icke.
Mega Maid opens it, doesn't she?
Have you been watching David Icke or something?
What does he have? I offered that idea like a half a year ago.
You tell him, take it up with your lawyers.
Remember? Valved Earth.
Yeah, Arwen hatched that idea a year ago.
Look, I'm telling you now, his nonsense goes way back further than yours does.
Well, I don't know. I kind of lost track when he started to claim the moon was actually a space station.
That's what I was referring to.
Wait a minute. You mean it's
That's
not?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
No, that's David
I
Icke.
saw that in the second Independence Day. It was a space station. You mean it's not the way the movies show it?
That sounds absolutely awesome on a good stereo. when that comes over the moon. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, it does.
Anyway, any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Maybe they can devise a scientific theory to weigh the dome.
Whoa. What scientific theory? You first need a hypothesis for that.
That's what I'm asking for.
No, actually, you just need a computer with some iTunes and a little snack by the side to eat.
Email. It's all about the email.
Is it the email?
These are Dr. Becky references every time.
Can't help it. Science at work, man.
I've never even watched this woman. So, from memory, this is going back at least a year. You said that after one of her videos talking about science, she then said that she was doing science when she sat at her desktop. Is that correct? Is that where this all spans?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
She thought that doing her stuff on her computers and checking email, that was science. And she literally stated it proudly.
Hold on.
It was
Yeah,
kind of a...
Yeah,
it
well,
was
she
kind of
also...
a... Well, go on.
No, so the things she states is always contradicting one another, so I wouldn't take anything she says with a pinch of salt.
It was one of those videos where it was a day in the life of an astrophysicist. So she's doing different things, and then she said, okay, I'm going to go back to the office and do some science. And then she's showing how she does science. That's exactly what Arwen explained right there.
Indeed.
Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius.
Black Swan.
At best, we've disproven the radius.
Would you not need a physical geometric shape for the radius?
You would. You'd need a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as Earth curve, to derive a geometric tangent point. That would be the physical edge of their Earth that formerly blocked boats and buildings, with a straight line to it to derive that R value. Unfortunately, they're telling us we wouldn't expect to see the geometric horizon. Nobody's claiming the horizon's Earth curve.
And it's a definite no.
One or the other. Arwin,
Well,
go ahead. Go ahead, Arwin.
The math claims it is.
Yeah, that's from Rumpus. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. Yeah, that means it's not your world. It only exists in the maths.
Okay,
Right, so the only thing left to do to get your Earth curvature real again is to reify mathematics into reality.
You can't.
And you got your globe.
You can't, because their maths derives the R value from a physical horizon. So you can't. That's the end of it. That's the end of the globe. It died 1st Jan 2020.
Yeah, I want to challenge the math. Black Swan destroyed it. So if Rumpus was on the show, I'd say to him right now, Rumpus, if you're right, then at 3959 radius, the current model of the sphere you say we live on, that horizon has to be at 1.22 miles, but it's not. But guess what? It's definitely over 10 miles, but we'll just give it a 10-mile value in the Black Swan picture. And at the 10-mile, it would have to be 264,000-mile radius, which would make it bigger than Jupiter, almost as big as the sun. Well, since that's not the case either, guess what? We don't live on a sphere.
How do you know how big Jupiter is, though?
Well, that's a reification too.
No. They use R.
Based on assumption of R somewhere else?
Yeah, they take Venus to be the same size as Earth, apply Kepler's third law. That's how you get everything, the whole lot, all of the distances, everything.
Well,
So are you saying, hang on, Arwen. So are you saying, Nathan, that if the Earth, which of course it's not, but just have fun here, then Jupiter's radius would be a lot bigger since the Earth is 264 now?
Well, I mean, yeah, you can insert any value you like into those maths. It just scales up if you increase those values. So yeah, it would make Jupiter bigger and further.
So if the Earth was 264,000 mile in radius, then Jupiter's radius would be bigger and the distances would be far greater than what they currently say they are based on the 3959, correct?
You can hypothetically do this, but this was my objection originally to the Black Swan argument when it was presented before it was developed by Ben in his argument with that same image or the same video reel. So he's saying if you increase the size of Earth to match up with where this horizon puts an Earth curve edge, then it puts the circumference of Earth beyond the presupposed orbital path of the Moon in the standard heliocentric model. In other words, your equator would be out where they say the Moon orbits. Massive, 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 massive Earth. Well, obviously that's ludicrous. You can't have that. It doesn't, number one, you don't just change the size of physical rocks. They are metaphorically or otherwise set in stone. But to hypothetically do it in this example is to miss the point. You can't go beyond a certain physical point if you've got a hill in the way. And they assert that there's a hill in the way. That's the Earth curve edge obstruction. It's falling away from you. And beyond it you can't see because it's a hill in the way. That's what their horizon is. You're seeing the top edge of it. Well, as soon as you start moving that physical parameter, you've debunked the geometry of Earth as a sphere. So there's no point in then speculating about, well, how big would it be if the physicality of Earth could change on a given day? It's like, no, the real world scenario here is physical things don't move. You know, once they reach the parameters that they are in terms of a physical point, like a hill, it doesn't go suddenly beyond that. Suddenly doesn't expose all the things behind the hill and put itself in a position behind things that are formerly behind it, in front of it. It just doesn't work like that. You can't have physical things doing that. So to draw this comparison, as much as it's like the original part of the story for the Black Swan, if you want to document its timeline, it starts off with Ben pointing out what you're pointing out. But when that was put to me, I'm like, I really don't like this. Because who cares?
Yeah, but I think Ben and I are doing it in a fun way, kind of like locking him into the absurdity of it all.
And that's all well and good, but meanwhile, we don't have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. And that's the end of the globe.
Correct.
That's the end of the globe, though.
Right, and then after that, we want to have some fun with them.
Yeah, it's not like you can go and stick a flag in it.
No, but if it was a physical hill obstructing your view, then you could. I.e., if it were on a sphere, we would have physical sphere edge horizons blocking our view with a qualifiable feet inches value. But their maths doesn't have that in any sort of realistic way because it excludes all aspects of perspective. Your target doesn't change in its size with distance. Now, actual sizes don't change regardless of distance, but the angular size does. And their maths has taken that angular size reduction and called it Earth curvature. When you put things into side view and suddenly photographs are compared to images that have the side of your own head in them, because that's how photos are. Well, no, you don't take pictures that include the side of your own head and have a 90-degree aspect onto where you see. That's merely done to remove all aspects of perspective, so then they can assert when angular limitations reach and breach the point at the horizon. That's actually a physical Earth curve hill in the way. Well, it's not. We've debunked that. That's what the Black Swan does. So for me, it's like, well, let's just focus on that, given that hardly any of them on the globe side are either capable mentally or willing mentally to accept and understand this fact. You can't have a sphere beyond a certain limitation. And once you've debunked that, focus on that.
Yeah, I guess where I'm going with this is, remember the show Mitchell from Australia did? Was that Dr. Tony he did it with, or Mr. Sensible, where he said, at best? Who was that one?
That's Mr. Sensible.
Okay, so Mr. Sensible said, at best, you've disproven the radius of the Earth. Aha, now we're going to have some fun. So it's 264,000 miles, the radius. So would that change flight times and everything? It's a laughter track. It's so funny. It's so stupid.
It's amazing that they don't understand velocity would change with altitude.
However, the reason for the modus tollens argument's construction is because when we pointed out that it's not reasonable or logical to beg the question, assume the outcome, the thing you're trying to prove, and we debunked the assumption by way of pointing out the presupposition, they just assume R in every instance. They're like, well, it's perfectly acceptable to assume R because we already know we're on a sphere. Blatant zealotry for any other subject, but in terms of the heliocentric Western worldview, that religion is ingrained in every man in the Western world, man being man, woman and child, and therefore they will assert it as real regardless of it being pointed out as a logical fallacy to beg the question. So we had to, or QE more accurately speaking, had to develop an argument that started with the presupposition because they're saying it's justifiable to beg the question. So it starts out with the assumption that we're on a sphere with the radius that they give us. And according to them, if we're on a sphere, that is set figuratively, I say because we're not on a sphere, in stone. You know, sphere-shaped stones don't change, and once you're beyond the parameters of that sphere-shaped stone, it can't be physically blocking things. It's not a physical horizon anymore. And once you assert that it's non-physical, then you can't derive an R value, which is where their origins begin, with Al-Biruni deriving physical horizons into R values for sphere-shaped Earth. All dead. It's all gone. Globe's dead. And
Indeed.
and nothing to do but cry about it if you're on the globe side.
And they are crying.
I think they're pulling the air out the little bit that they got left.
Well, that will reveal a sphere-shaped head.
An actual sphere shape?
Just the top part. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to beg R and say we're on a sphere with a radius, and you've given the numbers, and they have 3959, then it's over, because the horizon can't be any further than 1.22 miles of the 1 foot observer height. That's a brilliant argument, brilliant motor Stolens. It's DOA, dead on arrival. Any argument against it?
Yeah, I mean, let's say you buy a product from someone and they're given an actual size for that product, and you buy it and you see it's not, and they say it's fact that's that size, and you buy it and it's not that size, you're going to tell them they're lying, aren't you?
For sure.
Yeah, so why would you accept it if your globe has been said this is the actual radius and it's been disproven? Why are you still going to fight tooth and nail and say it is the radius?
For some reason, Flatsoid, they don't want to give it up.
When you say that, it's because that is the very essence of their religious worldview. So when you say they don't want to give it up, it's like, well, that's to give it up is to relinquish your belief in a sphere Earth, and that is like I say, the very essence of their worldview. So yeah, you're going to find that reluctance. That's not surprising. Doesn't matter.
Well,
it doesn't change the argument. It doesn't change that when they come here to defend it, they end up telling us just how non-physical the horizon is. In spite of all the maths that used to claim it was physical and blocking stuff, and how much it was blocking by feet and inches values that don't include perspective. So that's all gone by the wayside now, while they simultaneously deny their physical claim of a horizon that's Earth curve.
Well, let me bring something else to that. Why do former globe religious believers, why did they give it up then? Let's answer it that way. Why are some people on this panel who believe that gave it up? Like John. John says he's an ex-glober. Why did he give it up? What was more important to John?
Well, I needed R to justify, the dip angle measurements of the horizon. If it's refracted, it's not a dip angle measurement. It's a paradox, like Darwin said. You can't do that.
Okay, but why did you give it up?
Well, my mind wouldn't accept it anymore. They're just got too fallacious. Like, making stories up about Santa, you're eventually gonna say, well, that's just bull crap.
So you gave it up because truth won at the end.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, it's good. Being honest with yourself is how we all got here.
But back to the extension of the joke when it comes to the bigger radius value, that sort of backs up why I'm saying you focus on the fact that they require R. Everything to do with the heliocentric model starts, ends, begins and dies with the R value. So once you have an argument like Modus Tollens with the black swan and the imagery that shows it's beyond the physical capabilities of a sphere based on their physical geometric capabilities laid down in their maths, then why bother saying, well, if that was the case, then you knew radius... No. They need R as it stands, and that's the end of the argument. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like joking aside. No, that is where it ends.
Yeah, you can't refract the horizon. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, you can't loom the horizon. You can't move the horizon with respect to the horizon. We only have one horizon. And the horizon in the globe Earth maths is geometric. It's marked with an X, labelled horizon, and debunked by the black swan. And what are we told when we present the black swan and the argument that goes with it? Well, we're told that nobody claims the Earth curve edge is horizons. Who would claim such a thing? That's what globers tell us. That's the power of the Black Swan argument. Forced attrition. Suddenly they're in a position to relinquish their own religion because that's the only way to go. That's the only place to go after you've had the argument presented. Because logically, if you're going to move the horizon, you're going to have to declare that it's non-physical. And that's what you're claiming Earth is. A horizon that's physical, blocking boats and buildings. That's what you need. So that's forced attrition.
That's an excellent name for a band. I was going to say, Nathan, Forced Attrition and Arwen's Paradox. Excellent name for bands.
Sounds like a great playlist. On the bill tonight, we've got Arwen's Paradox and Forced Attrition. Warming up for John Bon Jovi.
Excellent.
So boats don't go behind a curve anymore?
Can't block a boat with a non-physical horizon. And we're being told how non-physical it is, even though it's marked with an X, labelled horizon, and physical in the globe Earth reification that is the heliocentric model. So no, they haven't got an Earth curve edge anymore. We don't have Earth curve.
They're hiding behind your resolution limit.
Yeah. When they take the mickey out of us, they say we're behind the curve. Well, behind the curve of what? The Earth? The horizon we've debunked? Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're behind the curve when it comes to reification of Earth curve edges that are horizons. Because we don't have any. And your entire model and religious belief in living on a sphere is based on that fact we've debunked. Earth curve edges aren't represented at the horizon. We've debunked it.
They contradict themselves every time, because every time they need to do a celestial navigation from the ocean or anywhere actually, they have to have a tangent plane straight, and then when they have to build buildings, they need a plane straight to get their 90-degree right. So every time they need something to work, they have to admit that everything is straight, because they never say, I'm going to do a navigation based on this arc. Because there should be an arc if you're on a sphere, or you're building a building. Okay, we're building on an arc, so let's put that into. They never do it. They just say everything is straight, and guess what? It works out perfect every time.
Yeah, in other words, Earth's measured flat. If you're building anything and doing anything that might actually have people's lives depending on you getting it correct, it's always measured as a plane. Earth is a plane. It's as simple as that. It's measured as a plane. It's obviously and observably flat.
Yep. That's how when geodesic surveys come and say, oh, the measured curve, I laugh at their faces. Because they take plane surveying and then they just put geodetic consideration into it.
Hey, Nathan, somebody in chat pointed out that Live 2020 is no longer a correct title for the show.
Oh, have I accidentally left on 2020 on the title? I'll correct that for tomorrow.
You've bent time. Broken time, Nathan.
Completely arbitrary anyway, who cares?
Yeah, that's evidence for Lorentz contraction. We've contracted time, so it actually still is 2020, but it might not be, but you can think of it that way.
I'll change it on April 1st.
Oh, you just debunked Einstein.
Very good one.
You just debunked Einstein, Nathan.
No, the only thing it debunks is that the experience of time is linear. His experience hadn't caught up yet.
Trying to say Arwen's on fire today. Basically, that was a little slant. That was Arwen saying I'm slow. That was really subtle.
I think Arwen's releasing a little bit of his 6 million fee to the ballers that he wants to help them. He's just releasing little bits here for them to see the value.
I believe no one's going to give you credit for that, Arwen, but I give you mucho props for that. That was the most subtle dig you could ever have. It was epic. That was Arwen calling me slow, but the way he described it was beautiful. You have to listen back to how Arwen just said that. That was a subtle jab between the ribs, but in a funny way. That's why I say in the chat. I just want to say this.
That's the word touche.
I just want to say that's why in the chat when you see me writing Arwen is ace, that's why I say it, right? Make no mistake, Arwen is ace.
Oh, and PJ says I'm a Dutch agent now.
Of course you are.
Well,
I am Dutch.
Well, here in South Africa, we got racist lightning now.
I am Dutch and I have an agenda. But yeah, my agenda is to be open and honest and communicative and teach everybody and make sure that as much people wake up from the lies as possible. So that is my agenda. That makes me a Dutch agent, indeed.
So
the R1 agenda.
So Flatzoid, because you have racist lightning, is there a lot of charges being filed in court?
It's quite electrifying.
Shocking.
Oh, and now PJ says that my avatar with the tree, it's actually a representation of the Aristarchus tree. I should have known.
How dare you, Owen?
Well, he does go out on the limb a lot. Arwen, that is.
He's breaking a few branches.
Well, it's an ebony tree, and I chose that type of tree because ebony trees are extremely hard and very slow growing. It's considered a hardwood, and that's how I approach myself metaphorically. I'm a slow grower, but I'm tough. Like, once it's developed, it's very tough to bend or break, and that's why I chose the icon.
There you go. Bonsai Arwen.
What?
Your Japanese equivalent. Bonsai Arwen.
No, bonsai trees are not that slow growing, and you have to trim them constantly. Bonsai trees are not hardwood. Hardwood is actually really slow growing.
It gets so technical when I was taking you to an Oriental Arwen.
Yes, and you know how I always try to break jokes, especially yours, by taking it literal. That's my specialization.
Tenth, I think you should change your icon to stones or rocks.
Yeah? How come?
Because you might be the rocks of cousins. Cousins of the rocks.
Cousins of the rocks.
Now just take a photograph of a pebble with a piece of text, "My cousin rocks."
Oh, Michelle Thaler, thank you.
Somebody from Discord save us from this.
Well, but yeah, where's Virus? I heard something happened with Virus. I had to leave that day, but I missed it.
He got injected.
He's in chat. He's been in chat for a while.
So, Virus, what did I miss the other day where everybody commented? I haven't even heard the show or heard why everyone's commenting about your brilliance again.
Not in live stream. Sinclenser, go ahead.
Come on.
You want to add something? Go ahead, Sinclenser.
Oh no, he was that day you guys got into it for a bit. He was on for a couple hours after. I think he was having a good time. He riled up everybody up.
Okay. I don't know if we're going to get any more info than that, I'm afraid, 10th man.
Well, I just don't know. He's never riled me up. He just contradicts himself every time. He takes two positions on the same argument and then thinks he's got something. He doesn't even know what Coriolis is, Earth-based Coriolis. He thinks he can have infinite reference frames.
Yeah, but Tenth, remember, he's got that whole attitude of, I don't care kind of thing, you know.
I'm here to learn.
Yeah.
Well, he thought he had a gotcha with the. I think he was asserting that the quantification of an effect has, something to do with the effect itself by asking Nathan about, the units of entropy.
Yeah, that's right. So he asked me about the qualifying units for entropy, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. How does that change the argument in terms of gas filling and availability of volume? Does it make a difference if I qualify it with a number? The answer is no.
No, absolutely not. It's, what is it? I think it's joules over Kelvin. I'll have to go look for sure, but I don't see how that matters.
It doesn't.
I remember the local college giving 3 units for science class. Would that qualify for an entropy?
No, not marks. Not modules, no.
Oh, sorry.
units,
I was going
like
academic.
milliliters or whatever.
I got 3 units because of an entropy class. Yeah, I got
Maybe Adam will know just before we round out the live show. There still. There, Adam. Clearly not.
But I've realized when you try to talk about the gas of full available space and entropy, then they're just trying to make you try to obfuscate and put it to the units instead of trying to get to the point that the gas will fill the space. So they're trying to push to the units.
Isn't unit a conception?
Yeah, it's just a way of measuring. It's just a disorder. That's all. But they don't know. But that's what I say. They're just trying to obfuscate from the fact that the gas will fill the space.
What was that word you said before disorder?
It's qualitative versus quantitative. So if you've figured out how much something happens, it's like, okay, yeah, but my point is that that thing happens, not how much or at what rate or how much. Qualifying it with a number is irrelevant. In this example, we're talking about the free expansion of gas into an availability of space, a volume. Well, that occurrence, whether you qualify it with a number or not, is the thing that's debunking space. So who cares? It makes absolutely no difference. Gas expands to fill a space. And if the sky was a vacuum, what do they call that sky vacuum? Oh, they call it space, don't they? Yeah, well, if it was a space, gas would fill it. And we wouldn't have any gas. That vast space they say the sky vacuum is would be an availability of volume for gas. What's that you say? How much, at what number, arbitrarily assigned to it, would that happen at? Who cares? It's going to happen if the sky was a vacuum, so we'd all be dead. How quickly would we be dead if the sky was a vacuum? And at what number and rate? Who cares? We'd be dead if the sky was a vacuum. It isn't.
Nathan, it's like if I shoot you in the head, how quickly would you die?
Yeah, exactly. So we can talk about that. Well, how quick would the entropy increase occur?
About
who cares?
About 2.5 units.
Yeah, exactly. 15 Schreibles per hour. That's how much. Does it matter?
I only asked because it sounded like another good name for a band.
What, 2.5 units?
No, he said something disorder. Progressive disorder? I thought he said it. So that's another good name for a band.
Aggressive disorder?
they have violins in that band.
Fair enough. With that, I'll say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on a Premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.